Well, hey, welcome to today's episode. I have a special guest. Nate Skelly is the founder of Financial Pathway, and he is a financial advisor that helps people in all areas of finances, from helping them make a financial plan to helping them invest and things like that. I highly recommend Nate. So if you are interested in connecting with Nate, just head over to his website, nateskelly.com. He's got a podcast and other content he puts out, and you can just get on a call with him if you want, and he will give you great advice. Well, I am so excited to get to today's conversation. My name is Luke Clayton, and this is Connection Culture.
Yes, we can kind of put out some general rules of thumb that are like, hey, for most people, this would probably be a good range. But the problem with that is there's inevitably going to be a large number of people for whom that's not the case. So, and that's part of why my job is so important, and part of why I think you're always going to have financial planners, financial advisors that are beneficial to people's situation, because we are unique. And we're not a monolith. And so, if it was as easy as here's the 10 rules that every single person can follow in their life and be successful, then, what do you need a financial planner for? There is no reason, but it's never really that simple.
Yeah, of course not. Yeah. Well, and I think another thing worth noting too is that, someone like, the content, someone like you, Nate, or like I said, some of the couple others that we've mentioned, for the most part, when I have, read, listened, whatever, after you listen to a while, you're like, wait a minute, this is just common sense. It's just the kind of stuff that just, like I said, it just makes sense. And in the financial world, that seems to be something that, the average person, not the average, I don't know. I, again, don't have any numbers or statistics in front of me, but people just tend to seem to be very stupid sometimes, for lack of a better word, when it comes to their money. They make decisions that it's like, why would you do that? Like I was talking to somebody the other day who was, I know they were being very transparent with me about their finances and whatever, and they told me how much they made. I didn't ask any of this. They just kind of volunteered this information. Mm-hmm. And then they turned around and said that they wanted to, but I'd really like to go and get this, $50,000 car. And, I was like, well, wait, hold up. Based on what you just told me, if that's what you're making, then that's a bad idea, And so there's some, like I said, a lot of it is just common sense. And I'm not sure how often you don't have to reveal all your stupid clients right now, but I think what I'm saying. You probably see a lot of it.
Well, I laugh because it's like, I was, as you were saying that, I was thinking, are you saying that should be like my slogan or my tagline? Like, quit being stupid with your money. Let me help you. Like, that's not a very compelling value proposition, I guess. No, and it's not so much even stupidity. Yeah, certainly we can probably all point to examples where people do stupid things with money. We all have, by the way. Like, we've all done stupid things with our money. So not pointing any fingers here. No, like, really the job of a financial planner, like you say, it's common sense. Yeah, it is. But money has a funny way of sort of blurring the lines and creating blind spots in our own lives. Like, it's if we look at somebody else's financial situation, it's a lot easier to be objective about it than it is our own. So the analogy I like to give a lot of times is really a financial planner is almost like a personal trainer for your finances. Because when you think about, like, if you're trying to get in shape, you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to be more healthy physically, and you say, I'm going to start working with a personal trainer. The personal trainer obviously should be knowledgeable about how the body works and exercises and diet. And, to be a good personal trainer, you have to have the knowledge. But it's not like the knowledge is unfindable. Like, we have Google, we have YouTube. Like, if you want to get information, it's out there. Now, it may take you a while to learn it and to really sift through it and to understand it, but the information's out there. It's not like only personal trainers know how to have a good diet or how to exercise. No, You can find that information out there. There's a lot of bad information out there too, by the way, about diet and exercise too, and you can get confused. But it's really more about having somebody who's going to say, all right, tell me what you're trying to accomplish. You trying to gain muscle? You trying to lose fat? You trying to run a half marathon? Like what's the goal here? What are you trying to do? Okay. When would you like to get there? What's our time frame? All right. And then we understand about you physically, like, your body size, your age, your weight, just, all of that. And then okay, now that I understand you and what you're trying to go for, here's a plan. Okay. Here's the days that you're going to work out. Here's the machines you're going to use. Here's the number of reps you're going to do. And here's the plan. And then not only that, I'm going to be here for you. I'm going to keep you accountable. And really that's what a financial planner is doing, is they're saying, all right, where do you want to go here? Like, what's important to you? Are you trying to make sure your family's taken care of? Are you trying to retire at 65? Are you trying to pay off this debt that you've accumulated? Are you trying to organize your budget? What is it? What's going on here? Okay, now that I understand you and your situation, where you're trying to go, let me give you some recommendations. Here's a plan. Here's some steps that you can take. And also, I'm here for you. So I'm gonna keep you accountable to this plan. And as things change, we'll adjust it. If you have questions, I'm here. And then it becomes a partnership. And so, it's a lot of times it's having that human buffer between you and your finances, because we all tend to rationalize, justify our behavior. We get our emotions, we get emotional about our money. And a lot of times we can't see our blind spots. It's hard for us to be objective about our own personal finances, and having that other person to step in and say, hey, let me help you, can be immensely valuable. So yeah, it's not that, like, me as a financial planner, I just have this encyclopedic knowledge that no one has ever had before. So, you need to come to the guru sitting up on the mountain. It's more or less about, hey, just recognizing I can benefit from having somebody else walk through this process with me. And I know my results will be better than trying to do it on my own.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I will say too, while you don't claim necessarily to have any, unique, knowledge or whatever. I mean, I would argue to some extent that you do. You have some wisdom that you can bring, because this is what you do. You're a specialist in this area. You essentially live and breathe this all day. You're watching, the markets and all this different stuff that I'm like, I don't even know what to give an example of, because this is the kind of stuff that and we live in this very DIY kind of. It's funny. It's not necessarily some things we want to DIY. We see, for example, we watch HGTV and we see Chip and Joanna Gaines, renovate this home, and you think, how many people, the joke is, oh yeah, I can do that. And, you go out, you buy the wood, you buy the materials, and you start, and it's like, well, okay, now I have, a room in my house, or the carpet's torn up and the walls are half painted, and it's going to be like that for the next 3 years, because, you thought I could do it, but then when you got into it, it's not that maybe not that you couldn't, but there's just different obstacles, time restraints, or you really did run into something you don't know how to do. And I think the same thing can happen with your finances. You can say, yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to try to go and set up my own investment account all by myself, which you can do, but you get into it, and you just, and the I guess scary thing about money is that, and when you get into that world, the investment world, is like, hey, you can make one wrong decision and it could be really costly. You invest in the wrong thing and whatever, because you read some article online, and it actually doesn't do quite as well as what this author was claiming. But on the flip side, yes, it could also be very rewarding. But again, that's where someone like you, an expert, a personal advisor, can give you that insight to say, hey, look, yeah, I know what you read here, but here's what I saw over here, and here's what here's what's trending, blah blah blah, and yeah. So I mean, and I will say, I mean, if I haven't already stated it yet, you are my personal advisor. In fact, we started before we started recording. I took a moment to, hey, I needed some insight, some advice financially, and you really helped me to break some things down and understand some things better. And honestly, I really appreciate it, and I'm gonna very likely act on that. If everything tends to go how it's going. So anyways,
Yeah, don't buy that Ferrari. Don't do it, Luke. That's
it was bad. I was joking. Don't do that. No, but yeah. So that's the advantage there. So now technology over the years, in recent years in particular, has really evolved and it's really advanced, I guess. And it seems like everything financial has taken advantage of this. Online banking and different apps and things. And so, but again, this is got some good and some bad. It's in and of itself, these apps are not bad, but how you use them could potentially result in either a positive or negative effect. And so, with that, I mean, what's kind of your take on the role of technology when it comes to your finances?
Yeah. And by the way, just to be clear for the listeners, like at the risk of this sounding like an infomercial for Financial Pathway and for me as a financial advisor, like I believe very strongly in the value of a good financial planner, but it doesn't have to be me here. Like I'm saying this in general, like do yourself a favor. If you need good financial advice, find somebody that you can work with. Maybe you prefer to work with somebody who's local. Maybe you do it, maybe you're fine with doing things over distance, but find somebody who will give you solid, holistic financial advice, not just try to sell you a product or shoehorn you into something that they have to sell you, but actually be willing to take time and listen and understand and give you insight, because I believe for the vast majority of people, it is beneficial. And I would also go so far as to say, Luke, not everybody needs a financial advisor. There would be people that I would talk to and say, you know what? I don't think you need me. Like you're doing just fine, and you're making good decisions on your own. You're in a good financial state. I don't think there's much more that I can bring to the table here. Like keep doing what you're doing. There's people out there like that, but I would say that's not the majority of people. Like maybe it's 10, maybe it's 20, maybe it's 30%. I'm not totally sure what the full number is. I would tend to think it's probably closer to the 10% number, but there's some people out there that they're great. They're good. They don't need a financial advisor, but a lot of people do, and a lot of people would benefit. And whoever that happens to be, I hope you'll do that. But back to your question, technology as it relates to finances, good and bad. Yeah, like you were saying, there's I think for the most part, I'm mostly excited about technology and media and what it's bringing to the financial space, because I think it's mostly good. Like there are so many tools out there at our disposal now. I think first of all, like on the budgeting side of things, like there are so many good budgeting programs out there. If you're trying to track your finances and put a workable budget in place, I'll mention a couple. Every Dollar is one that I've used. Mint.com is one that like aggregates all your accounts and pools them together. You Need a Budget.com as a great site, really in-depth tools to help you budget. There's a lot of apps that you can download on your phone that do budgeting and tracking. So find one that works for you and that you're comfortable with. But there's a lot of great tools on that front. And there's just more information out there than ever. Like if you're like, with capital gains, like what are capital gains? I heard about that in the news. You can go on Investopedia, which by the way, like Investopedia is the Wikipedia for like finances and investing. Like it's a really great resource. If you need to know a term or a rule, you can jump on the IRS website. Like we just take it for granted now. Like for most of history, you didn't have that luxury to be like, I don't know what that is. Let me just find out in a matter of 10 seconds, So that's great. And it really is helping people to be more informed and more empowered in that way. Another thing that I'm really excited about is just the access to the market. Like, I think by now just about everybody's heard of Robinhood. So, the investing app, but there's a lot of apps out there now that do something similar and allow you to buy and sell stocks and ETFs and cryptocurrency and these types of things. But I mean, never before in human history have we had this much access to the market, like instantaneously. Like I can pull my phone out and I can, within seconds, have bought an investment. I can buy a stock, or I can set, like, it's incredible. And not only that, but the cost has just really, really shrunk over time. So investing is almost free. It's not completely free because there still are, even if they say it's free, like no commissions, there still is a cost involved. It's just kind of more behind the scenes in a sense, but it's very small. I mean, it's almost free. So I mean, all of that is great. So more information, people being able to better understand the market and the nature of investing. It's all out there, which is really great, and is exciting to me. And then also, like, just on the good side of things, like think about like shopping for stuff now. Like, I don't know, you're probably the same way, Luke. Like, if I'm going to buy anything, I'm researching it online before I go. Like, whether it's a mortgage, which, there's plenty of places you can go on, apply for a mortgage online now. Whether you're buying a car, whether you're like, I just bought a book yesterday, bought the Kindle version. But what did I do? I looked on Amazon, I looked on the other website, and then I looked on like the publisher's website. So I wanted to see what are the prices, which one has it the cheapest, right? I mean, if I'm going to buy a charger for my phone, like everything, like I go online, I shop it. So financially, that's great. Like, people more than ever find ways to get a good deal. And then also just for businesses too, like AI, artificial intelligence, algorithms, software are just to the point where it makes businesses so much more efficient, cost effective. I love the fact that Amazon can have something on my doorstep in 2 days or less.
I know, it's pretty great.
So all of these things are beneficial. They're great, but like Tesla they are rewriting what it means to ride in a car. Like, that experience it's been revolutionized because they're going to the next level. So all of those things are beneficial and they're helpful. But there are downsides with it too, for sure.
Well, you brought up Robinhood, and of course, earlier this year, Robinhood kind of made a dent in the news cycle. Not necessarily because of anything they did, but because of how it was being used with the whole GameStop and whatever. We don't have to dive into all that. You actually, a little plug, you have a whole episode about that on your podcast. So go check that out. Episode number, you told me here. Now I've said I'm going to say it, so now I got to figure out what it is.
29.
What was it?
I think 28 or 29.
28 or 29. Just listen to them both, regardless of which one is the Robinhood.
All of them.
Yeah.
Listen to all.
Listen to all.
Start at episode 1.
Yes.
And then you'll get to it.
We want you to be a conscious consumer, except when it comes to our content. Mindlessly consume it and blindly follow it. But yeah, so the whole Robinhood thing and whatever. So you did talk about that earlier. Let's talk about maybe, though, what can be some of the downsides of, and they're not the only one out there, but, an investing kind of do-it-yourself investing app like that.
Yeah. See, like, most of that excites me, and I'm like, man, this is so great. Like, I can just, the ease of my phone, right from my home, boom, almost instantaneously invest, and that's great. And you have so much information. Like, you can see all the relevant information about a company and where the market is moving and just all of it. Like, it's right there on your phone. But apps like Robinhood and others, the downside to me is that it's what I call a gamification of investing, that they've designed it intentionally to be more like playing a game than it is investing serious money for the long term for retirement, because it's designed in such a way where you want to check it multiple times a day. You want to make frequent trades, buys and sells. You want to be tracking the ups and the downs. And all of that, the evidence shows us that's not the route to successful investing. People that constantly buy and sell, people that are more speculative, that try to time the market, these are not winning strategies. And I think what we're seeing with, especially in this area of cryptocurrency, it's very concerning to me. And it's difficult sometimes to speak into that issue because it's so popular right now that I kind of seem like the party pooper,
Yeah.
like it's like everybody's having a great time. And then I'm like, hey guys, did you hear about this outbreak of malaria? And people are like, what? Like, why would you bring that up? Like, why would you kill the mood? It's like the if you're familiar with the old SNL skit Debbie Downer, it's kind of that idea of like, everybody's having a good time, and then you just have to be the person to like bring everybody down. And honestly, I'm not trying to do that at all. This is really coming from a point of concern, because I think a lot of people are setting themselves up for disappointment, and they're making a poor financial decision at the end of the day. So here's the thing. So can we talk about cryptocurrency for a second?
Well, that was actually my next thing. I was going to say, hey, what is this cryptocurrency, Bitcoin? What is it? Is it Dogecoin? That's like the rage. At time of recording, that is like the rage right now, man. What is it?
I put that out there on the internet, and I got lots of different answers. I say Doge, so yeah, we're going to go with Doge.
But yes, let's dive into that, because that is something I'm actually curious about. I'm like, what is going on? What is this thing? Thanks again for joining us for this episode of Connection Culture. If you haven't yet, please take a moment to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you're listening to podcasts, or even on YouTube. Connection Culture is a production of the Must Increase Network. The show is edited and produced by Bo Snyder. Executive producer and host is myself, Luke Clayton. And if you want to help this content gets seen by others, then the biggest thing you can do is to simply like it on Facebook or YouTube and share it with your friends to help it get seen by others like you. After all, it's going to be so much more fulfilling when you get behind the content you believe in, when you share, when you let others know, when you contribute in that way, because it is so much more fulfilling to be a creative contributor than to simply be a mindless, constant consumer. I'll see you next time right here on Connection Culture.